Hi everyone, I hope you're good guy. Welcome to a new video. So today we're gonna talk about Techno Synth horn, and I already made a couple of videos about this, but this one is gonna be a bit more sophisticated, where you can really modulate it with LFO and envelope to create something original. So let's dig into it. Today we're gonna use Ableton Live 11, but the rack will be available for Live 10. I'm gonna tell you later on why I use Live 11. So yeah, let's have a look inside. That's our rack, and if you remember well, I've made already two different racks. So was this one, which was more like kind of a melodic techno or more deep kind of brass sound. I have this one which was more like a peak time aggressive. So you can get this kind of similar sound, but when I was creating my wavetable bank number 2, I've done this preset here. And you can hear it's a sand horn kind of sound, but you can hear the filter is evolving and it's modulating, and it's a bit more original than the two first one. So I took this one and I decided to make a rack from it to have a bit more feature than the one I choose for the bank, and obviously to make it available for free. The link in the description. That's something I have often forgot to say, but all the rack I'm showing on this channel are always free and available in the description. You can find the link. So yeah, today's rack you can do kind of crazy stuff like this, and the reason why I use Ableton Live 11 is because of the new feature here where you have all of the variations. So you can see I have already you can have different kind of preset inside the rack if you want something more classic. That's one of the live feature I'm the most excited about, especially with this channel and with the rack. All my rack that I will do it, I will always try to put a couple of different presets, so like this you can get an idea of how the rack sounds. And it's always cool because as well, sometimes if you don't use the rack for a couple of weeks, you don't really remember exactly how it sounds and how to use it. So this variation is a great way to remember easily how to use the rack. So let's create a sound from scratch. I will give you as well at the end of the video and during the video a couple of tips on how you can make it your own and improve it as usual. So I've used wavetable for this one. So, and in terms of waveform, so I've been to vintage and I used the sub 3 shape, but you can use the basic one. Basically, on the default one, what I've done is you have still oscillator 2 that you can use. It's a bit more like kind of a simple one, but sometimes it works better. And I've activated the sub just to add a bit of body, and I'm gonna group Ctrl G this, and then we're gonna start to assign the macro. So the first one we can assign here is the position. So it's changing the wave position, and this is the macro 5, and the macro I call color. For this one I use a bandpass filter, so 24 dB. This one, and this I've applied to macro 1 the filter, and I've applied the resonance as well to macro 2. One thing I've done, I didn't let the clean, I used the SR with the drive, and bring the drive to the maximum. So far nothing crazy, but that's important to start like this. And before to jump into the envelope, I bring the synth in mono, and I wanna use the unison mode, so I'm gonna use the shimmer. Bring to 5 voice and around 50%. So that's, again, it's up to you. You can adjust to your taste. Now, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a bit of effect, because it's always nicer to have a little bit of effect. So I'm just gonna use the saturator in archive mode, make it completely like very aggressive. So this is something you found in the original rack. You can deactivate it if you don't want something too aggressive, or if you think it's too distorted, just deactivate it and it's work well. Just a bit of reverb, we're gonna leave it like this for now. We might tweak it again later on, but okay, now we have something like this. Another thing I've done which is important, I've been to MIDI and I've decided to have key tracking on the filter. So basically, according to the note you press, the higher the note, the higher the filter will be. This is very convenient, especially when you use bandpass, because basically bandpass filter is just like a very narrow spectrum. And so the fact that you decided to follow the note this way, for example, if you play a high note, your filter will automatically, your bandpass filter automatically go a little bit more in the high frequency, because if you don't do that, you might have your bandpass filter, let's say around 500 Hz, but if you play like C5 or C6, which is in very high frequency, you won't be able to hear it. So let me give you an example. For example, if I bring this down, but I play a very high note, it's muffled. But if I bring this to maximum, now if I press the high note, you see the filter is, you can see here how the filter is moving to, and if I press a low note, the filter is going down. So this is something that really works well with bandpass filter. All right, so let's go to our envelope. We want something, let me, around 2 kilohertz. We want something with the sustain at the maximum, sharp attack. We want something that straight away in your face, no decay. Can add a bit of release if you want, but playing a lower note kind of better, of course. And what I've done is I used the second envelope to modulate the filter. So in this patch, the filter is modulated in two different ways, with an envelope and with an LFO. So envelope 2, which is gonna modulate the filter. So I decided to put 20, but you're gonna see. So you see now it's making move the filter this way, but I wanna be able to control the attack. So I'm gonna map it here. And basically what I wanna do with the envelope, I wanna be able, for example, to have my bandpass filter moving from the left and then coming back to the right. So I don't want sustain, because otherwise you bandpass gonna like sustain in the middle somewhere. I don't want that, so I'm bringing the sustain down. And I will put the decay around 2 seconds. And let me put the attack around 2 seconds as well. So like this is gonna take 2 seconds to go up, 2 seconds to go back down. Alright, so you can see here, it came back very quick. That's because of the slope of your envelope, so you don't want that. So maybe you can go something minus 50, and now you have something more round, which is gonna sound. So you see now it's taking a little bit slower, it's less abrupt, let's say, for that. The release as well, you can put 2 seconds, although it doesn't, just to make sure that when you release the note, it doesn't go back too quickly. So now we have that. I want to be able to control how much the envelope is modulating the filter. But the thing is, with Ableton Waiter, the problem is you on the matrix, you cannot map this amount modulation on the macro. But I found another way around. Basically, if you go to value, you can see you have this peak value, which is basically kind of control the intensity. And so if you, here it's going like very wide, but if I reduce this to maybe 30%, you see it doesn't go that far. It just doesn't, it just applies the envelope modulation a little bit. So this, I'm gonna map it to macro 4. I'm just gonna rename quickly this. All right, and that's it in terms of our first modulation. So the second modulation is LFO, but it's a bit more complex than just the same plain LFO. So we want our LFO to modulate the filter. So I'm gonna put 16. And you can see now it's modulating straight away. So I want to be able to control the amount. So I'm just gonna go to here, macro 7, and I want to be able, I leave the rate in unsync because it's nicer, it's smoother when you want to modulate it. And I'm gonna map this to macro 8. So again, I'm gonna rename. Alright, so now what I want you to do, I want you to be able to modulate the rate. For example, instead of doing this, I could do this manually. So I'm gonna press the note and I'm gonna vary the rate as the note is playing. So for example, here was going from slow to fast and going back to slow. I want to be able to automate that. And the way you could do that, if you click on your rate here, then after you have your LFO rate here, and I'm gonna make the LFO rate modulated by the envelope 3. And I'm gonna choose minus 48. Now it doesn't really have anything, because first you need to bring the sustain at 100%. And second things, you need to play with the attack. That's what's gonna make this nice modulation. So I'm gonna map it to macro 6. And if I have a longer value, like let's say 1 second. And now what I need to do is I need to bring the rate fast. So this way it's gonna start fast and then go slow. If you want to do the other way around, you just go to your matrix and instead of -48, you just put 48 and then you bring the rate down. So this way now, you start slow and you go faster. So that's really up to you what you rather. I'm gonna bring like it was by default. So usually you start. And then after you can play with the attack and the rate and shaping how the way you want. So before to jump into the effects section, anyway, you can hear the sound is already there. Few tips I can give you is you can obviously change which kind of waveform you want. For example, maybe try with the long saw, or let's go, I don't know, to that's pretty savage as well. So just experiment. And again, like I say, if you want something more classic, you can just go to the oscillator 2 and you have the classic one. So maybe here actually I didn't map it, but you just map, sorry, here to color, and then it will follow. You have kind of more classic, and if you don't want like a kind of sound, that's the way to do it. Other thing, you can use the envelope 3 to modulate the pitch, and you will have this pitch modulation as well. Let me bring back to the normal one. I don't know if you hear the pitch modulating slightly. So that's something you can experiment with and decide to set or no. I didn't set it by default, but you can if you want. Alright, and in terms of effects, so I have the saturator. Obviously, if you want something more soft, like for example, if you do more like deep stuff, you might remove it or use the analog clip one just to be a bit something a bit softer. Or if you do melodic techno maybe. But I'm gonna leave it in the hardcore for now. I've used the drum bass as well. So that was mainly to make things louder. Just great job. I like it that way. Scratch maybe. If you need something very loud and powerful, good to use the drum bass. Then I had the delay, but the delay I found out I didn't really know to leave it or no. Sometimes it works, sometimes no. I just left it like this, like. So that's my classic default preset, same with the reverb. I will make a video soon about my template and all of my default presets and how it saved me time and improved my workflow. So if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to subscribe, activate the bell notification. And yeah, in terms of reverb, I think I use the same. And yeah, that's pretty much it. After you just have to put the color and you get back to what you had there. So obviously these tips with the LFO and everything apply to any kind of lead sound or synth. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, activate the bell notification, and see you soon, guys. Bye bye.